Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting for Monday, March 23rd, 2020. Just to let folks know at home, due to the COVID-19 outbreak and the declared state of emergency, State Governor Charlie Baker issued an order on March 15th, 2020, prohibiting the gathering of 25 people or more, which included employees. The Board of Selectmen's meeting will be filmed live by EBCAM. Residents can access this live feed on ebcam.org. eb-cam.org. The Board of Selectmen's meeting will also be available on demand and viewed at a later time. Town Hall is not open to the public currently. And if you'll all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We've got a small, we'll actually jump right into our first appointment. We are going to appoint Deputy Police Chief Paul O'Brien as the acting police chief. If anyone has anything to discuss, and I'll take a motion on that.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any further discussion?
No, he's been sitting there for the last 4 or 5 weeks. Everything I've heard, he's doing an excellent job down there, and we will take a look at his contract down the road.
All right. All right.
I think it's just unfortunate for Chief Allen that he had to end his term the way he did with everything that happened, but given the circumstances, now is the time to do this.
Yeah. I mean, it would have been nice to have some sort of going away party for him, but obviously we can't at this
Maybe
point.
in July.
I'm moving out of town, we'll have a chance.
Something down the road. But yeah, I did meet with the deputy police chief a few weeks ago. I think, yeah, he'll fit in nicely, and we'll see how things go as he's the acting police chief. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We'll go right into our public hearing.
Karen will have to hold off until 6:40.
Correct.
Okay, we'll go right into the action items,
All
Mr.
right.
Chairman.
That's good.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the application for common vicular license for Alvaro Bacamontes for transfer of license from Chufala Incorporated, doing business as Fiesta Mexican Restaurant, 34 Bedford Street, to Team EB Incorporated, doing business as Fiesta Mexican Restaurant, hours 11 a.m. to 11.
Second.
All right, any further discussion?
Okay.
Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the minutes of the March 9th, 2020, 6:30 p.m. Board of Selectmen's meeting.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve but not release minutes of the March 9th, 2020, 7:40 p.m. Board of Selectmen's executive session meeting.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the minutes of the March 19th, 2020, 10 a.m. Board of Selectmen's emergency meeting.
Any further discussion?
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the minutes of the March 16th, 2020, 5 p.m. Board of Selectmen's emergency meeting.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Number 7, are we moving on number 7? Mr. Noble?
Number 7?
Yes.
Are we
Are we
doing that?
moving on
Yes.
number 7?
We can do number 7.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the memorandum of understanding with the Department of Public Works, Teamsters Union, Local 653.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? I'd just like to thank all those involved from the union and the DPW workers, to Mr. Noble and the legal team for getting this done, along with John Haynes and the management team at the DPW. Thank you very much.
And I want to thank the bargaining unit, they were very good.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, I move to appoint Alexis Xavier as Inspector of Animals for the period of May 1st, 2020 through April 30th, 2021.
Second.
All right, any further discussion?
She has done a fantastic job. When she came on board, I think we had somewhere in the neighborhood of 300 outstanding dog licenses. Last time I checked, we were down to 6.
Amazing.
Yeah, great.
And she is doing a
Good, she's
tremendous
hustling,
job,
that's
and
great.
thank her for everything she's doing.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the renewal of seasoned wine and malt license for New England Kart Raceway New England Kart Raceway with Karen M. Quest, manager.
Second.
All right, any further discussion?
So this one here will release the license once they renew their business certificate with the clerk's office
Okay. All right,
after your approval.
okay. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, I move to authorize Chairman Bill Dowling of East Bridgewater Board of Selectmen to execute and deliver the project funding agreement and any amendments thereto for the Central Elementary School project, as well as make final binding decisions with respect to such project funding agreement on behalf of the town and to bind the town to its terms and conditions.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve for Joanne Sadrick, Townhouse Common Condos, to use the Town Hall parking lot Wednesday, March 25th, 2020, and Thursday, March 26th, 2020, overnight while driveway repairs are completed to the Townhouse Common Condos.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve for Alan Hiltz of the East Bridgewater Fire Department and Community Emergency Response Team to utilize Sachem Rock Farm for training CERT volunteers as to responsibility when working with an SNR dogs, April 20th, 7th, 2020, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. This event is not open to the public.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Did we want to approve these at all, like pending?
This will have to, the next couple will all be pending the fact that we are allowed to congregate
Right.
on town property, even though it's outdoors, it could still have more than 25 people. I don't know how many volunteers they have. So these will be all approved pending that we get an okay to resume normal life in East Bridgewater and around the state.
Okay. All right,
Motion.
all in, yeah, all in favor?
Which one are we doing?
13, you can-
13.
Read the Corin Ziegler?
Okay.
I don't think you read it out though yet, Dave.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve for Corinne Ziegler of the Community Gardens to use the outside of Sachem Rock Community Center for the East Bridgewater Community Garden Kickoff on Saturday, May 16th, 2020. Time of the event, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Rain date Sunday, May 17th, 2020, from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And again, that's pending the fact that we're allowed. Mr. Chairman, I move to approve for Corinne Ziegler of the Community Gardens for the use of outside of Sachem Rock Community Center for pizza potlucks at the picnic tables near the gardens on the following dates: Monday, June 29th, 2020, Monday, July 27th, 2020, and Monday, August 31st, 2020. Time of the event will be from 6:30 to 8 p.m.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, with that, we'll go into our hearing for Fiestas.
Let me read the notification from the Town of East Bridgewater. Notice is hereby given that pursuant to the requirements of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 138, a public hearing will be held relative to the application of the transfer of common vicular all alcohol license as follows: from Chufala Incorporated, doing business as Fiesta Mexican Restaurant, Joel Ramirez, manager, to Team EB Incorporated, Alvaro Bacamontes, manager, premises 34 Bedford Street, restaurant comprising of 5,880 square foot, one-story brick building with 2 main entrances and 1 takeout entrance, kitchen with 2 entrances, dining areas, bar, office, and storage area. A public hearing will be held at the Town Hall, actually second floor conference room, 175 Central Street, East Bridgewater, Mass, on Monday, March 23rd, 2020, at 6:40 p.m.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
All the paperwork and from everyone's been signed off, except for,
Yep, their attorney brought in all the paperwork. We have the current floor plan. The building inspector will go over, check things out after the new owners are all up and running. And once it's signed, I'll pass everything to the ABCC, and they'll forward us back their license, and they'll be good to go.
Thanks. Right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we'll go right into our town administrator report. Sure you've been
Thank you,
quite
Mr.
busy.
Chairman. It's been certainly an adventure. I have a couple of things to share with you. The police chief has been extraordinarily busy, and out of concern for the COVID-19 pandemic, our police department has amended procedures and implemented some temporary changes to the way and manner in which our officers respond to certain calls. And these changes are basically designed to minimize contact and to help contain the spread. Now, some of these changes are also limiting non-police personnel entering the station and limiting unnecessary contact between officers and the general public, and to practice the social distancing protocol. Officers are being kept up to date with the latest information on the virus, and the general orders of the department and department procedures are being modified as required to make the changes needed to help prevent the spread of the virus. For animal calls, the East Bridgewater Police Department will be following the recommended protocols of the National Animal Care and Control Association. The animal control officer will only be responding to high-priority emergency calls. The police department officers are all keeping a positive attitude and a professional approach to this unforeseen event. The department will be here to handle whatever the needs of the town and the citizens are, and that's submitted from the acting police chief, Paul O'Brien. I had just been notified by our state representative that at 6:37, the governor signed the bill that allows the selectmen to postpone the annual town election and to push another date. So what we'll be doing is probably posting a meeting between now and our regular scheduled meeting to do precisely that. I have for you a draft of what I thought we were going to have to do up until this bill gets signed. Attached to this is also the Senate bill, which is exactly what the governor signed. So we'll read that and we'll come back with a protocol. We can postpone to an uncertain date, or we can postpone to a date certain. So we'll be discussing that as we move forward. The only requirement is 20 days' notice.
Okay.
So we'll determine what we think is the best approach to this in light of how the pandemic progresses. So everything is somewhat fluid. Today, the governor's executive order makes us cut back the staffing in town hall. So we will be staffing each department with only one person or a limited number depending upon the size of the department. We'll be rotating shifts as to cut the contact between staff members, but essential services will still be provided, and we're still working to make sure that the town functions. Some employees are able to work effectively from home. Others will shift their hours so that they're in the building at a time when there are not as many employees present. And essentially, any office with only one person, we've made arrangements so they can work from home entirely and put a minimal amount of time into the building. For those with two, we've rotated the shift, so they can pick a time where both of them are not in the office together. And those offices with more than one will be cut down to a very, very limited number just to get the essential services done. So we're going to be in a little slowdown here for a little bit. But
I think people understand. I mean, anyone that
Yeah.
emails or calls, I mean, I think
right.
haven't been any issues so far with.
Well, we have an awful lot of people, surprisingly, still coming up at the building, and I wish to remind the public that the building is closed to the general public. And the occasion where we need to have an appointment, like, for example, marriage intentions, we are looking at that on a case-by-case basis. The marriage license is good for 60 days. So if we postpone theoretically till April 7th before we issue marriage intentions at this point, you know, I'm not sure that's a problem. I'm not sure, frankly, in a normal environment, you couldn't have a wedding with more than 25 people in attendance. So I'm not sure that any bride wants to cut their guest list just down to that. But there are still some people who will, and we will do our best to service them as we go.
I imagine there's more grooms out there that want a smaller list, so. Yeah, yeah. No,
So-
I mean, you're juggling about, 12 different balls between trying to get ready for town meeting, which will probably be pushed off, and.
Well, today I
all
sent
that,
over
so.
a I had time to work on the budget today, which is about the first time in 2 weeks. And I sent over to the chairman of the finance committee my recommendation for a balanced budget. So we are making progress.
Okay.
The finance committee will meet, they're canceling tomorrow night, but they will meet a week from tomorrow night in the virtual world. I don't want to be really old and say the virtual world, but they'll be meeting online. And the capital budget committee has a meeting scheduled for Wednesday night, which will be all online, all remote participation. So the remote participation actually is working. And we are recording from that so that we can rebroadcast that meeting. And we're also looking at the technology that would allow a live broadcast from our GoToMeeting account. EBCAM has asked for a little bit of patience while they work through the technical aspects of that, but, excuse me, I think they're trying to get it done, and we are trying to give people as much access as we possibly can under the circumstances.
So, no, just going back to the scheduled annual town election, which was scheduled for April 11th. We are definitely postponing that to a later date. How is it working with those who are currently in office that would have been out of office on midnight on April 10th? They will be extended until such time as we have our
Yes.
annual election.
The governor's bill, or excuse me, the bill the governor signed tonight extends the term of office until the town election,
Okay, without a date attached.
without a date attached to it.
Okay, thank you.
So,
You'll
Bill
be-
stays in
You'll be
office.
stuck with me a few more weeks later.
You know, God is good.
well, actually, to be honest with you, under the circumstances,
Yeah.
I think right now, changing roles would be very disruptive to the continuity of government. So I'm very happy that things stay status quo until the town election.
Yeah, I mean, I know, I discussed with you earlier, there was one town that recently had their town election. But, I mean, I think with this seems to be picking up steam. It's not going away anytime soon. I think we're hard pressed to ask people from town to show up at the polls until, we have a better handle, or the government has a better handle on what's going on.
It
Well, I
would be
guess-
irresponsible.
Yeah.
I get asked
Yeah.
every day how long this is gonna last, and if I knew, I wouldn't be the
No
town
one knows.
administrator in East
Yeah.
Bridgewater.
Yeah.
So,
So, all right, so anything for board discussions, or?
Just one other thing is, when we put our emergency situation intact, there's no end to it right now. I
Correct.
mean, it's going to be until, at
We
some point in
discontinue.
time, we get together and say,
Yep.
okay, it's going to end as of this date, everything will be back to best as normal, and we'll do all our catch-up and stuff like that. And so, all the dates that you're hearing out there, that really has nothing right now to do with East Bridgewater and how we're going to be handling that situation. That will be when we get all that information available to us.
I think the next 15 days will be absolutely critical.
So, I mean, at this point, just, ask people to stay in as much as they can. I mean, follow the advice of the CDC, the federal government, state DPH, and, stay tuned. I mean, this is evolving every day. It seems like the White House is having the daily press conferences. I believe Governor Baker is doing everyday press conferences, I think, at least. So, really, people just have to stay tuned. We'll try and get as much info out to people as we can, and, from the local level, but really you just got to stay tuned to the news, without losing your mind. You
And
can't,
and again, just
yeah.
keep in mind, all the information that we get will get put on the East Bridgewater Town, website, and that's where the information should be coming from. That's what people have to, and make sure that's where you're reading it before you pass it on to someone.
I think that's really true, Dave, because there's so many rumors out there. I had
Absolutely.
people telling me over the weekend, oh, everything's shutting down Sunday at 4, and this is gonna happen and that.
Yes.
And I would just encourage people just to stick with the facts as much as you can. And I really appreciated what Governor Baker said today when he talked about people struggling with a sense of purpose. Because I know for me, not going to work every day is definitely a feeling of what's my purpose if I'm not a librarian, so I
If you need
think.
things to do, please let me know.
We
But
also
I-
have an office in
I-
our
yeah,
area.
there you go.
I could have an office and I could seclude you, not a problem.
But I think, just for people that are struggling with that, find
have a
ways to
front door.
connect, do Zoom meetings, do, video hangouts with your grandkids. I've been doing that, and that helps a lot, but, because it's just uncharted territory, and I know it's
It's
hard.
fine until your grandson says, "Why don't you come over and play
He
with me?"
did.
This is pretty bad.
I said I missed him, and he got really sad, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Maintain the 60 feet,
You have to be careful, yeah, a 2-year-old does not understand that concept.
60 feet.
We've been practicing
60
the
feet.
social separation at home. Can I let my wife come in the house now?
So, no, but unfortunately, I do think this is gonna take a turn in the next few weeks, and people, I mean, I've seen it where, up until last week, people are still letting their kids hang out with their friends. My God, please don't, There's a reason the schools are closed. There's a reason that sports are at an end, and, all these other activities, I mean, we gotta try and keep, these young kids healthy.
Yep.
I mean, I know for years my house was kind of the de facto drop-off for many parents, but unfortunately, even the Dowling daycare is closed.
Well, and
for-
it's too cold for pool reviews
Yeah,
anyways,
yeah,
Bill,
so,
so,
I mean, but everyone's just got to really, it's going to get tough, and people just have to stick together. I mean, check on your neighbors. I was emailing with
from a
Nan-
distance.
Yeah, from a
Wait.
distance, yeah. I mean, I was emailing with Nancy Hill. Nancy's down there doing everything she can with Dave, to keep the Meals on Wheels going, getting people out to the grocery store. So, I mean,
We
we,
cancel the tax expert at the seniors.
Oh.
yeah, okay, all right. So, but there'll be time later on for that if we can, so.
Well, we know that the federal government has extended. I'm waiting for the state's announcement, but I fully expect the state to go, do the same thing.
Yeah.
So,
So, we're doing our best to hold it together and provide what services we can in the face of this situation.
Oh, and the schools are doing a parade tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. I think they're starting from Central School with teachers in cars. I actually am going to work tomorrow, but they're going with teachers in cars, and they're going to go through town so that the kids can wave to their teachers, and I think the police are part of that too, so
Yep.
that is a nice thing to do.
All right, thanks.
Motion to adjourn, Mr.
All
Chairman.
right,
Second,
all in favor?
All right, be
Aye.
safe out there.
be well, people.
so we